Okay, cool. Anyway, welcome. Sorry we have a slightly late start. We're actually attempting something that I think is quite aggressive. So we have a star-studded panel here. Let me introduce myself very quickly, and then I'm going to hand the mic down to our panelists here and just do some quick introductions. And then I have a few intro slides, and then we'll get into a bunch of demos. Okay? So my name is Chris Schalk. I'm a Google developer advocate. And essentially, I work with OpenSocial, and because my past is a bit of an enterprise past, I have a special feeling for those out in the enterprise community, and I've been having numerous discussions with these guys for a long time now on how we can essentially make OpenSocial work in the enterprise. And so that's essentially the goal of this talk. So let me go ahead and hand the microphone over to our star-studded panel here, and they can introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Dave Carroll. I'm a technical evangelist for Salesforce.com.
Hi, I'm John Mayerhofer, and I run the business standards team at SAP.
I'm Tugduall, and I'm responsible of the product strategy on Exo platform.
Mike Cannon-Brookes, I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Atlassian.
Rich Manalang, and I work for Oracle. I'm part of the product strategy team in Oracle that looks after social networking.
Mark Weitzel from IBM, part of the emerging standing team at IBM.
Okay. And you can hold on to the mic, I think, for now. And then, so anyway, before we get started, also, we do have a special Google moderator page. The URL is actually quite long, so I created a bit.ly URL, so bit.ly/enterprise OpenSocial. So feel free, toss out any questions you think are relevant, and we'll be spending a considerable amount of time in the second half of our presentation just working with your questions. Okay? Now, as I mentioned before, that's our agenda. It's fairly straightforward. I'm going to provide a very quick overview for any people who are new to OpenSocial, so just want to make sure that everyone's kind of on the same page. Actually, a real quick show of hands. How many people are not really familiar with OpenSocial yet? Okay, so that's good. I'm at least providing you a bit of a starting point. Okay? So let's just jump right into it. What is OpenSocial? Well, it's essentially a set of APIs that allow you to build social applications. And these APIs are standard. So what that means is that it's not one company or one particular technology. These standards have been brought together by a set of companies that have been collaborating. And they've been working essentially since almost like 2 years now. So very quickly, what are the benefits of OpenSocial? Well, as you can see here, before OpenSocial, if you wanted to build an application that had social features and you wanted to take your application and put it into different networks, it was a bit of a challenge, or you really couldn't do that. So as you can see here, our Joe developer is not too happy. But now, with OpenSocial that was launched back in 2007, there's essentially a set of standards for building social applications. And these standards revolve around 3 core areas. So friends, profiles, activities. And so basically, once these standards have been launched, this allows for standardization of social application development across any what we refer to as container sites, or enterprise companies for that matter, that have the ability to adopt these standards. Then they can essentially run the same applications as the same technology. So this guy's much happier. I should also say, who owns OpenSocial? Is it Google? Do you guys think that's true? You may think so, but it's not. It's actually run by the OpenSocial organization. And true, Google did kind of spearhead these initial set of standards early off. Google did donate like a substantial amount of code, especially when you get into like gadget and so forth, gadget rendering and things like that. But it's now essentially managed under the auspices of the OpenSocial Foundation. So if you really want to have like a high-level starting point to learn about OpenSocial, you can just go to www.opensocial.org. And from then on, you can start to get a nice high-level view of what exactly OpenSocial is. Who's using it? Well, we have like a number of partners. We have millions of end users around the world globally. I've been personally involved in reaching out to a lot of different companies in India and Japan and Korea, and it's been, to be honest, it's been a real pleasurable experience just to be able to share this technology, and the adoption rate with our partners is quite substantial, and they really jump onto the technology. This is a latest number chart that basically shows, over 800 million end users are now being able to use OpenSocial technology in a number of different websites, and what we refer to them as container sites. So just to kind of give you an idea of the breadth or the overall volume of the OpenSocial users is quite substantial. The overall volume of OpenSocial developers globally is also in the thousands as well. So it's serious technology. I don't want to take up too much time, but a few main points. It was launched back in 2007. We very quickly evolved from version 0.5, 6, 7. We had some new containers launched, like MySpace, High5, early in the day. And then I think another thing that I'd like to point out on this slide is that version 0.8 last year that came out came with essentially RESTful APIs. So what that actually did is that opened up the door to other server-side entities to allow for two-way communication. So essentially transfer of social data became possible. And that is essentially one of the key things that a lot of our enterprise partners are looking to take advantage of. And here we are. We've already passed our 1-year milestone. We have well over 600 now, and we're now looking at 0.9 now as the current version of the API. So why are we doing this session? Because personally I feel, and all of my partners feel, it's too important to ignore the enterprise when you're referring to social technologies. So we feel that the core concepts of people collaboration is vitally important. And by using standard technologies, we all feel very strongly that there is a justification for exploring this area. Are we there yet? Not yet. We're still working. There's a lot of prototypes, there's a lot of cool technology, but do people equate OpenSocial and enterprise today? I wouldn't say that yet. But that's hopefully what we're trying to do, is kick this off, hopefully get some buzz started, and see what you guys think. Okay? So basically, we want to educate, brainstorm, and share what we have today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and kind of jump into, because I want to make sure we have enough time, is to our first set of demos. And so I believe we have Mark Weitzel, who's going to come up and show us what IBM has got in the works. The switch. And on number 1, right? 4. Are you on 4? 4. Okay.
Thank you. One of the things that I'm going to show now is some work that we're doing as part of my team in the Emerging Standards, Emerging Technology group. I get a pretty good gig because I get to play around with a lot of the things that are forthcoming. I get to work with our product teams. And early on, IBM has been looking at mashup technology, situational app technology for a while. And we have a number of products that deal with this kind of mashups and also collaboration. And so OpenSocial, as we start to get involved in this, is very interesting to IBM for a number of those reasons. What I'll be showing today is some early proof of concept type work that we're doing with one of our Lotus teams, the Lotus Mashup Maker team. And I'll show what we have here is not that. Let's see here.
You'll have to go easy on us because we have a fairly elaborate setup.
No, I need this icon that got moved around. Everything is smaller. So this is our IBM Mashup Center. And one of the things that we've been doing inside of IBM is working with gadgets and widgets for a while. Unfortunately, at this time, they're not OpenSocial gadgets. We have a specification that we've been working on internally because we've been doing this for a number of years. And we've been working also with an open foundation, the Open Ajax Foundation, trying to get metadata and widget gadget technology interoperable. So what I'm actually going to show here is a demo of our Mashup Center.
You want me to hold the mic?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
And the sizing might be a little off here, but what we'll look at is this is our Mashup Center, and we've created a little bit of a very straightforward demo that talks about how you can assemble these mashup pages. And one of the things that we can do inside of our mashup product is eventing back and forth, like you can do in OpenSocial. We externalize those to have wiring that you can use declaratively in things like tools, which we think is an important way to get consumability. So I have a very simple demo here where you can take a random number and you can publish it, but I can go into this page into edit mode here, and I can then drop down and select maybe, maybe not, some OpenSocial gadgets. Oh, now you got to hold the mic.
There you go. Yeah.
Let me see what I can do here. Let's see.
That's the one.
Yeah. We're going to have to get this here. No. Well, looks like I lost my... looks like we might need to go to plan B here.
Should happen. Yeah.
Here we go.
Make sure you're about
There we
full
go.
screen as well.
All right. So now I've got the OpenSocial. Yeah. Where'd that guy go? So there's one of my OpenSocial widgets that I've grabbed that will do the subscription. And I'll grab another one here that will do the publish, and I can just drag those on, and I can resize these and move them around. So now when I do something like a subscribe here, I can publish this. This is being published from an OpenSocial gadget, and this is being published from one of our internal gadgets using technology from OpenAjax called the OpenAjax Hub. We can talk more about that maybe in the Q&A. The important thing from us is this gives us a way to take some of our existing work that we've done, some of our existing products, and start to bring some of the OpenSocial technologies into these things and have them coexist peacefully together. And it also allows the consumers to be able to easily bring these things together and create these pages. The last thing that we want to look at is, I talked a little bit about the eventing part here. This is being able to read some of the externalized events and the metadata that's available in something like an OpenAjax widget. And one of the things that we're interested in is if we're going to do these complex consumable mashups, we'd like to have the same kinds of things in OpenSocial, and you can see now that we don't have that. So the kind of extensions to externalize that information is one of the things we're interested in working together on and finding out from the rest of the group here what sorts of things they'd like to see. So with that being 7 minutes into it, I'll turn it over to...
Well, thank you very much, Mark.
Sure.
And yeah, we're definitely looking forward to seeing what more innovations that you guys are coming up with. So anyway, thanks a lot, Mike. Okay. Come on up, Rich from Oracle is going to show us a cool demo as well.
Hello.
What number again? Oh, you're number 2.
2.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through a real fast speed demo here.
And if you have questions about each demo, feel free to enter them in the moderator page as well. We can take it at that point. So go for it.
So the history behind Oracle and its involvement in internal social network within Oracle, just as kind of a skunkworks kind of a development effort to try and test out some of the interesting things happening with things like Facebook and MySpace and bring it into a firewall. So we built this thing called Connect, Oracle Connect. And basically, this is basically, I think, the fourth version. And we have an Oracle person out here, Oliver, that's taking pictures and posting them onto Connect as we talk here. But basically, it's, if you can think of...
I have a job.
If you can think of, Facebook and Twitter and all the things that are happening on the public web these days, and kind of mash it up and try and figure out how that works. Uh-oh, I got a little issue here. And mash that up. And what we've done is we've kind of taken all those pieces, all the interesting pieces, and built a tool that would allow people to share things inside Oracle. So Here's what it is. Basically, you have the ability to do things like post your status, a note, which is similar to like a blog, share links, ideas, questions, and media, and also code. So, code is for our developers who want to be able to share code out there that's similar to just posting some piece of source code and have people comment on it and things. You have different views like a network activity or group activity and all the activity. You can comment, you can like something, you can just go through what people are doing. It's kind of a stream of what's going on at Oracle. As well, we have a profile system that allows you. It's kind of like a company directory as well. So if you take the elements of Facebook, where you can look at someone's profile and see the information, phone numbers and things. It's the same kind of thing. You can see a hierarchy. You can see how far down I am from Larry Ellison. You can see a bio and my status and groups I belong to and tags. And then we also introduced the notion of what we call kudos. It's our version of the wall on Facebook. It's much more focused. And our use cases for all the times when you had to send out an email to someone you worked with or their manager to say thank you for doing a great job on this particular project. So kudos has been a great little widget for us to be able to put inside Connect to encourage people to thank each other for doing good work. And you can also see people's network, who they're networked with, contact information, and location. So in terms of posting, it's interesting. People can post different types of things like media. There's some videos in here, I think, that's actually, we actually have a nice filtering mechanism, dynamic filtering mechanism, so we can filter on things like source, where it came from, we can source or sort by what type of activity it is, if it's a status, a question, idea, from a particular time period. It's sorted in different ways by freshness, popularity, whether it's recently active. So some of the things people use to post, like there's people in here posting things about Wave. There's video that people have posted. So it's just kind of, it's similar to like a Twitter experience, but you can post whatever you want. And the other aspect of this is, you can imagine, at Oracle, there's 80, 90,000 employees posting into this one system, and this activity stream is just flooded with stuff. So there's a way to scope that down. So we've introduced a thing called groups, which allows you to go in and basically look at things in a much more focused. And you can invite people, you can create public groups, private groups, and you have basically the same kind of feature set as the public piece of it, but it's much more focused. And so we have lots of teams and groups within Oracle that are actually using this tool as a communication and productivity tool within their teams. You can do feeds and things like that too. In terms of OpenSocial and the way we started interacting with OpenSocial, when we created this, our team consists of 4 people, and there's 2 of us that code this. And so, when we first launched this, there was a lot of excitement toward people being able to contribute to it. Everyone has an idea, right? And there's tons of developers at Oracle who want to participate and build something on top of it. So we were thinking of ways to be able to scale the ability to contribute to the project, and short of like giving people commit rights to the code. So at the same time, around 2007, that's when OpenSocial was announced, and we were thinking, this is a great project, because then we can just, here's a framework we can introduce that's got an API. It's all fully documented. We can introduce this as a way for people to build applications on top of the platform that we've built, without us having to do that ourselves. And so we got involved and contacted Chris. Chris actually used to work at Oracle as well, and looked at the ability to use OpenSocial within Connect. And so what we've done is right now we have the ability to say, like, add a gadget, an OpenSocial gadget on people's profiles. So like if you're, on your profile, you can go in and say, I have this one OpenSocial app that I created called TagBuzz, and I'll add that to my profile. I'm being told I'm out of time here, so I'll show you this real quick. So TagBuzz is basically, it goes through and looks at your user profile tags that you've tagged yourself with, and within there, it'll basically go out and search Twitter for things. I used to work on the PeopleSoft product, and one of the things I used to work on was People Tools, and I can see what people are saying about People Tools, and I can reply directly. So that's initially what we're trying to do with OpenSocial.
Great, and I know you have like the gadgets, but you also have like Shindig and stuff also running.
Yeah, we're using Shindig. We've got an app directory, and the code is JRuby on Rails, but Shindig is running as a separate part of it and acting as a container. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Rich. All righty. Yeah, feel free to clap. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have steps. Who do we have next? Yes, go ahead. Now we have John Mayerhofer of SAP.
Computer number 3, please. And if you could turn on the microphone. No, I've got a mic because I noticed your arm getting tired.
Okay.
So. Okay, so again, I'm John Mayerhofer, and I lead the business standards team at SAP, and I want to say thank you to all of you who must be highly interested in this topic as opposed to going to lunch. That's a true show of interest, and so I hope we can, as a panel, not disappoint you here. I'm going to just give you a few words on who SAP is as context for why we care about OpenSocial. So SAP is focused on business applications. We are the #1 business applications provider in the world. Our customers represent the output of about 50% of the world's gross domestic product. So we have a pretty big footprint. I'd say more importantly, we touch the lives of everyone in this room. So we help power 75% of the world's beer production. We help power 65% of the world's chocolate production. If you guys have bought a song on iTunes recently, you touch an SAP system. Because we sell things that are from the core, like general ledger, human capital management, master data management, to business intelligence software, we touch everything. Because we do that, we have a great opportunity to bake in processes and to enable processes that help our customers run more sustainable businesses. And that's a great opportunity and a responsibility that we take very seriously. So why do we care about OpenSocial? Well, we enable business processes, software, business applications, model and enable business processes which power business networks. Business networks consist of people and other entities. The relationship between people has been important in business since the beginning of time. Many of the business processes that we enable can benefit greatly by providing the full benefit of those relationships between people and the relationships between people and other entities like the processes themselves or companies or groups, for example. So this is why we care about OpenSocial. I'm going to show you briefly one tiny component of SAP's social composite. This is not actually a product yet, although it's being used internally by our employees at SAP. It's called the Relationship Analysis Server. The Relationship Analysis Server enables you to gather in data from multiple sources. It could be an Exchange server, for example. It could be an HR system or a CRM system or many other sources. And it enables you to define and divine the relationships between these entities. This thing is accessible via a RESTful API. Any of you guys can download the server and write apps against it, by the way, and I'll show you where to do that in just a moment. And we've written an app against it called the Social Network Analyzer. And I'm going to go and change my identity for this demo. So I'm no longer John Mayerhofer of SAP. I am now Nicholas Cox, a collections manager in a mid-sized software company. And what you see here is how to access the social network analyzer if you want to download it or play with it online. This sample data that I'm about to show you is accessible on demand, so feel free to go here afterwards. This site, by the way, is our equivalent of Google Labs. So this is our kind of labs area for business intelligence software. So in the course of my job, in the flow, in the context of my job as a collections agent, I get an invoice. I try to collect on this invoice. For some reason, it's overdue. In this case, Calix, the customer, they're a big customer. They're a good customer. They usually pay on time. There's something wrong. But for the last 3 weeks, they haven't been returning my phone calls. And so I want to use the relationship or the social network analyzer here, which can be in the flow of my SAP system to do my job and collect on this invoice. What you see here on the right, this view, is the profile panel. Nicholas Cox is the user, and Nicholas's profile is aggregated from multiple systems, in this case, HR system and a project system. In the middle is the entity pane. These are all the entities that Nicholas has access to. And on the left, you see a search bar and faceted browsing, using the two in conjunction to get to where you want to go. So if I click on one of Nicholas's profile elements, Palo Alto, I will see all the people or all the entities that are associated with Palo Alto, 33 out of 63. If I want to see all developers in Palo Alto, I can do that. But back to my job, collecting on this invoice. So I'm going to search on Calix. Yep, Ursula Nobel is the contact from Calix. A lot of her profile comes from our CRM system. I'm going to explore Ursula's connections to my company. So I see here there's multiple different types of relationships. You can define relationships such as is a member of. In this case, we're looking at is a member of types of relationships, and Ursula is a member of these groups. We could also have, instead of the Ursula Nobel entity, we could also have the entity Apple and show the connections to all the products that Apple has bought from our company, for example. In this case, though, this is good enough. Ursula Nobel is a member of multiple groups, so likely if I go to the Connect tab, it's going to be easy to calculate the shortest path to Ursula. This is what it's all about. It's the shortest path to Ursula who is not paying her invoice. So I, Nicholas Cox, am related to Ursula through 3 or 4 steps. The relationships are I report to Marge Collins, the CFO. Marge is a member of the Sales Steering Committee, and Ursula is also a member of the Sales Steering Committee. So Marge, an executive, sits together with Ursula. The odds are if I throw both Marge and Ursula on a clipboard and initiate an action to both of them, so here it says send email. I could easily say initiate conference call or initiate an Adobe Connect session. It could be trigger an alert in an ERP system. Anyway, I click on that. I get an email triggered to both these people. And now Ursula is bound to get back to me because she doesn't want to embarrass herself in front of her executive friend on the Sales Steering Committee. This app also runs on an iPhone. And I'm told by our business innovation people that it will be running on an Android system in the not-too-distant future. So this is just one small aspect of what we're doing to work in the social component of business and enable the social component with the best available technology. So SAP and OpenSocial. SAP is a supporter. We believe that the concepts behind OpenSocial are going to make the lives of our customers better. We believe that the standard is viable, it's out of the gate, and we would like to work together with colleagues here on this panel, as well as other enterprise companies and the broader OpenSocial community to help modify and evolve the standard so that it actually meets the needs of enterprise customers. And this is a pretty big population with a pretty big impact. So if you have any questions, I think I'm done for
We can
now.
do the questions at the end. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, who do we have next? We have Dave. So hopefully we'll have enough time for the panel discussion as well. So do you want me to hold the mic, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, you can hold the mic for me.
Okay.
Am I on?
You still have to plug in, or?
No, I just have to cheat and get a URL.
Okay. Okay.
I need my glasses. I didn't need my glasses when I first started in this industry. So Salesforce.com, we have historically looked to the consumer web, to give us direction for the business web. And like we've seen internet applications, business applications, enterprise applications go onto the web in terms of SaaS and on-demand, rich UIs, some of the UI paradigms that you're used to seeing. We're also seeing now social as another thing that we need to make sure that the people who are using the internet can use it in the business scenario, and social is a big part of that. To start, what I'd like to do, I'll hold it for now.
Okay.
Not that I don't appreciate that. Is start off with a couple of customers of ours who are currently taking advantage of the social web today on our platform. So what you see here is a live site at Starbucks called My Ideas. And this is a site that they built on the Force.com platform that is used to reach out to their customer base, to enable Starbucks to better listen to what their customers want and react with that. But there's more to it than that. So this application is not only available right here on their website, but is available on Facebook as an application. And so people that come to this site and from Facebook, when they vote for an idea, when they suggest an idea, of course, that's updated on their activity stream so other people can see it. That way, Starbucks has this viral exposure to a lot more people than those who might wander by and see their site, which I think is a big part of social in the enterprise. Dell, another large company, enterprise class company, building a social application on the Force.com platform. This one is aimed towards innovation, as you can see. And I know we're running low on time, so I'll go to one more site, which really has a kind of two-edged social networking as well as social awareness. This is a site by Starbucks, again, built on the Force.com platform to get people to volunteer for charity events. And so Salesforce.com's approach to OpenSocial in particular is to create a platform on which you can build these applications, connect to various social sites, and in that way bring the social aspect, the professional networking and social networking to the enterprise. Now, I have a demo, and Lord willing, it'll work, so if you'll hold the microphone for me. I just have to type in a correct URL. Okay, so it's going to be 61 demo dash developer edition na6.force.com. Now you know why I had to look at my cheat sheet. So, the Force.com platform allows you to exercise various kinds of APIs. In particular, REST APIs are very easy on the platform. And what I've done here is built a site using a developer edition, which anybody can use today. Oh, by the way, security is a very big, important thing for enterprise customers. And that's why I'm willing to put up with the mixed security message there. And what I've got is kind of a customer portal site where my customers who, they may be at arm's reach from me, but they still want to let me know about maybe some support issues that they have. can come here and rather than create yet another set of password credentials, they can just sign on with Google Connect. Of course, Google Connect leverages the OpenSocial APIs and specifications, so I can go ahead and select maybe my Google account. Sign in as a different user here, because that wasn't me.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And see, this is coming from Google, so it's not just my site. Okay, so once I sign in there, then I can automatically be signed in as a user inside of this new portal that I've created for my site. And this is something that our customers can do. And so once I'm signed in, of course, I have access now to a cases tab where I can see various cases that other people have published. I can submit my own support case. I get things like interesting information such as profile pictures. But more than that, I also magically get some social networking capabilities without actually having to implement them on my platform, because I'm allowing Friend Connect now to keep track of a lot of the activity that's happening on this site. Mm-hmm. For instance, we have an activity stream. This can be on a per-page basis, or you can submit an ID, so maybe the activity is related to a specific case. I can also see, I can also jump into comments about a particular use or support case that somebody might have filed. They can give us answers and so on. And so in this way, we allow our customers and our developers who are building applications to connect to the various social networks. And so I'm a little under time, and I'm going to leave it at that and turn it over to the next person.
Okay, thank you very much, Rich. Dave, I was looking at Rich when I said that. Anyway, so next up we have Tug from Exo Platform. And thank you very much for coming. Are you all set? Or good afternoon, actually.
I want to start with a very short one slide to show you, at least if you don't know what Exo Platform is, it's an open source platform.
Is it microphone? Yeah. Okay.
Where it's an integrated portal with multiple applications, content management, collaboration, knowledge management, discussion forums, calendars, this kind of stuff that are based on a standard-based portal. On all the sub-layers are standard in Java world, so portlets, Java content repository to manage the content, but also a full RESTful based on the JAX RS, so the REST services. And we have added OpenSocial to be able to communicate and create social application between all these components. And we embed Apache ID, and we leverage the security model and the storage that is already in Exo Platform. So when you arrived in your portal, I will authenticate. And depending on my profile, I will see more or less more information. And using OpenSocial, you can create your friend or contact clusters. You can remove or add, but also we do a mashups of two portlets. So it's not gadget in this specific page. It's two standard-based portlets that use the OpenSocial as a backend to aggregate the list of my profile, of my friends, but also some Google Apps, Google Maps information. So it's not only be able to share information between multiple consumer services, but also internal applications such as the content management system will be able to provide information on the platform using activity stream to the different contacts. So what I will do, I am connecting my operating system to the content management system. as Chris. So now I can surf my content management, and it's based on Java content repository. So it's based on a pure Java-based standard, and taking one content from my local drive and push it on the server. So now it's stored, it's secure, and it could be shared between different users. And if I go on Chris activities, I can see now that one new activity has been added to the stream, and I can also see that on my dashboard. And here we are moving to the gadgets. So I show you more the server side of OpenSocial, where now I can see the client side using gadgets. So we see this new activity stream, and they are purely OpenSocial gadgets running, for most of them, inside Exo container. But this one is coming, for example, from Lab Pixies. And what we have here is we have multiple gadgets. One, the list of my documents, and I will show you how we build this specific gadget and how you can administrate that. So I will go to my, let's say, back office, but in fact it's the web OS. So the web operating system, it's a new way of using the application directly from your browser. So what I have here is I have a portlet, but this portlet, instead of being on the standard portal page, it's directly in my multi-window system inside my browser. And what we see is a standard-based portlet, another way of using the gadget on top of your desk. And this specific portlet is where I administrate and create and deploy portlets and gadgets. So for portlets, you deploy a WAR, you deploy a standard Java application. You can do the same with gadget, but we have also something that is quite interesting if you want to be able to make your platform richer and richer, is we can directly edit new gadget directly from the browser, or use WebDAV to push the XML file. So here it's an OpenSocial gadget that is stored inside Exo. And one important part when you deploy for the enterprise, it's about how you expose these gadgets or portlets to the user based on their profile. So when I choose to expose a specific gadget, for example, this one, I can choose who will be able to use it, who will be able to put that on his dashboard. So I show you how I can create the gadget, but how I created the backend, the REST services. So you can use any REST API or Java API, but what we also have extended is we create, using Groovy as a scripting language, an editor that you can directly use from your browser. So I am using, again, the Java content repository, because you see that here I have the content with the new document, but I can also directly edit my Groovy code inside the browser. And for people that are familiar with REST services, what you see is Java-based, and we use a connection to GSR, and I can deploy and update the service as I need when I am running in production also. And since we can access a gadget using WebDAV, you can also plug that to your IDE to be able to put that in a more standard lifecycle of kind of development.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and switch over now to Mike. I can hold the mic. Thank you. And again, feel free to submit your questions to the moderator page that we have, and hopefully we'll have some time to have a good discussion afterwards. So I'll go ahead and hold the mic for you as well. Feel free to introduce yourself again as well if you know. Oh, you zoomed in. Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. I'll try and go briefly, and I'll try and use some... Oh, geez. It's going to make life interesting, isn't it? All right. Well, sorry I'm using someone else's machine with a PDF that didn't come across properly.
you want to switch to one of the other machines?
No, that's all right.
Okay. I can hold the mic.
All right, so how many people know who Atlassian is? Or excellent, more people than OpenSocial. I love that. Thank you.
Wow.
So we make collaboration tools and development tools. Our collaboration tools, obviously, large enterprise wikis, etc. There we go. Well, you'll just have to scan through this. I apologize.
I'll pull it down on the computer.
So one of the things I wanted to talk today about was the development tools. So something a little bit different. Collaboration tools, obviously a wiki, you have friends and other people, so it can be implemented as a social network relatively easily. But I wanted to talk about development tools and how we're trying to make them also into a social network. So if you think about developers very quickly, they're people who work in teams, collaborate on some sort of shared objects, and they generate a whole lot of activity, right? So if we have a look at who they are, briefly, down here you can see that the shared objects they work on, obviously source code, issues, builds, projects, some sort of documentation, specs. These things as developers we're all used to. And the activity they generate, obviously things like commits, build failures, comments, new tasks, new issues, that sort of thing. So we thought it'd be really interesting if we take all of this activity in these shared objects and try to put them into some sort of a social context using OpenSocial. So the other part for us that's important is this slide in the bottom left-hand corner, is today pretty much all your enterprise apps are basically silos. So we also look at OpenSocial, besides being the social technology, as a very interesting technology stack for connecting a lot of enterprise applications in a very, very simple, standard way. So in this case, your applications, in this case, one application might be your source code, if we're looking again at developer network, your issues, tasks, projects, and let's assume you store your documentation in some sort of wiki. These are all at the moment relatively disconnected. So what we can see is with OpenSocial, we can do some things where we can actually connect all of the applications together. So we can put pieces of the wiki into the issue tracker, or pieces of source code, for example, into the issue tracker. And then we can do things like get a complete view of your project. So instead of just seeing the tasks and then moving to another server to see the source code, we can start integrating all of these different things together, so you get a single activity stream across everything. No matter which set of tools you're using, you can comment, interact, and things like that. And another scenario I'm going to show you very briefly is managers. So let's assume the developer in your development team works inside JIRA or some other issue tracker as their center point. Most managers spend a lot of time doing email. Most of the time, all their time doing their work in email. So Gmail actually gives us a really nice OpenSocial container to start pulling various development tools into that the manager might want to look at in order to see what's going on, viewing activity, status, and creating issues and that sort of thing, doing their development management. So we've launched this site. If you want to get more detail, there's a whole bunch of movies, screenshots, and other stuff at Atlassian.com/OpenSocial. If you want to find out about OpenSocial in the enterprise, it's a good place to have a look. So let me give you the briefest of brief demos. So this is JIRA 4, which is in beta as of Monday, running with a whole bunch of different things inside it. So for those familiar with JIRA, you'll be relatively familiar with things like these charts. What you won't be familiar with is that you can now obviously move them around and do a whole bunch of things. Everything you see on this page is an OpenSocial application or a gadget. So they're all running here. The different colors I've used in this case to connote that these things come from Confluence. So I can do quick nav against Confluence and go navigate to my wiki pages. Similarly, I can see my code reviews, and these gadgets themselves are obviously just standard OpenSocial clocks and weather widgets and that sort of thing. And things like the build data I can get here, so I can see when the build is failing. It'll refresh itself. So one's failing, one's passing. So this is the sort of thing you can get. And similarly, like everyone else, we have a directory. But remember, these are all development tools, and all the tools I'm interacting with here for developers. So if you want to get charts, you can here see I can get charts from my build system, charts from my issues, and go get them from source control, that sort of thing. So trying to bring all your development tools together, and obviously because it's an open standard, XML-based, other development tools can implement gadgets, and we can pull them in as well. And all of this, if I had more time, I could show you this entire dashboard running in iGoogle. So if you have JIRA running publicly, we support OAuth and everything else, and because these are all gadgets, you can then pull them out and put them into a different portal container the same way. So more interesting here, let me sign out of Dave's email. Sorry.
good.
Is if we think about the job of a manager. So in this case, we've created a fake Google Mail account. I apologize to Google for using some of your resources. Of a pseudo development manager.
We do the same thing.
Everyone has multiple Gmail accounts. It's allowed, right? Yeah. So this pseudo development manager has a development environment. An email environment that actually involves a whole bunch of different gadgets. So for those that don't know, Gmail is actually an entire sort of social container. You can put gadgets into it. You have lists of friends. You can make a network. So if you're using, for example, Google Enterprise apps, you can have all of your colleagues in there, and then you can create social groups in apps for the enterprise or whatever the code name is. But what you'll start to see is things like, for example, this is a developer. Obviously, Mark's a little lazy because he's just emailed me and said, here's a bug, which doesn't really help me. But what I can now do is inside Gmail, I can actually create the issue from inside here. And I can obviously go and create it. It's gone and created in JIRA. In here, I have the issue. I can go look at it, or I can just email him back and say, here's the issue. We can pull in all sorts of gadgets. So we have your social network from Confluence coming in. That's the sort of standard Facebook-like social network, if you like. You can see you can mash it up with Twitter and other things. And then this is a particular gadget here that shows you, this gadget here is actually running with the social data from Gmail. So I have Jonathan and Tim actually added as friends, so I will only see their activity in this particular gadget in Gmail. Uses a canvas view, so it'll open up. It would show me Jonathan's activity if I logged in there. But the interesting thing I always think is you can sort of chat over the top. So I can have all these different services running in Gmail. And if I had more time and Wave was public, I would give you a demo of the same thing running in Wave.
The paper that you just, or the URL, the new website that you launched, it gives details on this.
Yes,
right?
There's movies of all this in much more detail, Atlassian.com/OpenSocial.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to download
excellent site.
the JIRA container from Monday.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, we're getting towards the end. Thank you very much. Awesome demos. I am going to shift us over into Q&A. And we have moderator questions, but feel free to come up to the front here. We're obviously running out of time. Our timer says that we have 7.5 minutes, but it looks like we're obviously bumping into the next session pretty soon. So feel free, come forward, ask questions. We have our great panel here to ask you. Okay? So if there's no questions, I'll just jump up to the top on the moderator page. What barriers have you run into, or do you anticipate in implementing social software inside the enterprise? Any quick thoughts on that?
A few technical issues, but more policy and cultural issues, I would say, get in the way of implementing social systems in the enterprise. Short answer, short time.
Short's good, yeah. And not everyone has to provide an answer.
Yeah,
it's just up to you.
For us, it's mainly security concern. It's really integrating the security model and the security rules of the enterprise to the platform.
Yeah, security is another thing that we had a pretty good discussion about as well, so feel free to, yeah. Any other comments from you guys? Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and move on as well. Have you attempted or you considered moving your OpenSocial implementation into the mobile space for Android or iPhone? I think we already saw something there. Any quick comments on that?
It's for us, someone actually built an iPhone app off of our APIs. Unfortunately, it's not using the OpenSocial APIs, but we could easily move that way.
Okay. I was kind of curious, like some of the discussion we had yesterday in our little round circle preparation, we actually touched on some pretty cool or important topics. Would you guys like to elaborate on that while we're kind of on the free? Like, for example, like the example where you mentioned the spec process within OpenSocial, the people in that community right now is largely consumer-based, and I noticed that when you would put forth a few enterprise-y types of proposals, sometimes it was a little bit hard for the rest of the audience to understand. You want to comment on that a little bit, Mike?
Yeah, just from an enterprise perspective, obviously, our products get deployed behind the firewall largely by enterprises, and some of the additions and changes we've tried to suggest to the spec sometimes fall on deaf ears. Because most of the spec people at the moment are from the large social networks, MySpace, High Five, etc. And so I think it's good that at least different people from different enterprises are coming out to hopefully standardize. Maybe there'll be an extension for the enterprise spec or something like that.
another comment on that as well?
Yeah, I think that what we see, one of the hardest things when we're talking to customers and suggesting taking advantage of the social graph and whatnot in their applications, the exposure to the current kind of consumer web social networks has a real negative connotation, and the challenge is really to get them to think about their business processes, their interactions, both internally and externally in a different way, and disconnect that from kind of the fears that they have and some of the kind of, I don't know, leisure time aspects that they kind of attribute to social networks. And I think the best way to do that is looking at examples of companies that are kind of the early adopters, the ones that are really innovating with their enterprise, with their business processes to include the social networking aspect.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I see we have a question up here in the audience. Go ahead.
Hi. I have a question on the interconnect between the different OpenSocial network on the applications. So the question is about how we're doing the identity federation, what kinds of the standard we want to promote.
Any quick thoughts? I noticed we had some demos where you were pulling in different identities and
It depends how public you mean, right? So we use OAuth for all of our identities, so your identity is actually whatever your identity is in the remote system. OpenSocial doesn't have any way of federating or connecting those two identities, who you are locally and who you are remotely, but it has OAuth to connect them together securely, which
OpenID as well. Yeah.
you could use OpenID if you wanted to.
The standard clearly needs to go in the direction of enabling federation of data, because federation is going to be the rule in the enterprise. I mean, it's even the rule in the consumer space right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the OpenSocial folks always wanted to go too. I mean, we're kind of at the beginning of the journey, not anywhere near the end right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
May I ask the second question?
Yeah, go for it.
Right now, I can see the enterprise is adapting the OpenSocial, but in the meantime, have you thinking about how we becoming the next level to be the user-centric? Because what I'm seeing here is more like each company, they try to build the social, leverage the social network, but from the user perspective, I really want my mobile phone, I can access to anything. From my computer, I can access anything. So my question is any kinds of the roadmap or the vision we try to liberate our end user rather than just focus on the enterprise? Maybe my question is to...
Well, if I think I understand the question is, how do you motivate the guy in the cubicle to take advantage of the social aspects that you're talking about rolling out in your enterprise? Is that a fair interpretation?
Yeah, there's a kind of more I'm thinking is I can access the can contribute the idea to the enterprise, can involve to any enterprise activity from anywhere, anytime, in any device. The current deployment mode, it seems to me is more like still focused on the enterprise. For example, I log into the Google Gmail.
We're actually starting to run against the clock here,
Sure.
so if you could,
from
one sentence really quickly.
From one of the favorite OpenSocial, can we contribute back to the enterprise OpenSocial application? There's from outside, public side, contribute to the private side. That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, from a technical standpoint, yes. But.
Yeah, I mean, from a technical standpoint, certainly, that's kind of what you see with Starbucks Ideas on Facebook, right? It's a public site, and they're contributing back into their enterprise database.
Okay, so we're going to have to actually wrap it up, but I would encourage you to continue this discussion on our moderator page. We've actually got a great set of guys here, and we're going to continue the discussion on our side. Any final comments from any of you guys? Any parting thoughts? Ice cream, that's right. There is ice cream that Jay of Atlassian has provided. So anyway, thanks again. We apologize for a little bit of the technical difficulties in the beginning, but we hope you found it useful. And again, thanks to our panel. You guys did an awesome job. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.